How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Minneapolis spending $6.4 million to recruit more police officers. I guess the whole defund the police movement after George Floyd's death last year didn't really work out too well, and now they're having to backtrack to replace officers that were lost due to retirement, due to just leaving, or maybe even due to budget cuts. It just didn't want to have officers on board and get rid of them. Now, there's a lot I want to say here. There's a whole lot I got to get off my chest. But before we go down that road, let's roll this clip. In this clip, you'll see what's happening from their local news out there in Minneapolis. You'll see some of the crazy things that they're trying to talk about aside from refunding the police. After we get done watching that, I'll talk about what was said there. Then I'll give you my 2 cents, my deep, detailed analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Last night, the Minneapolis City Council voted unanimously to approve $6.4 million for police officer recruitment. That money was already set aside for staffing. Police Chief Madera Arredondo asked the council to release it. The chief says the department has about 200 fewer officers now than it did 2 years ago. An unprecedented number of officers quit or took extended medical leave after the unrest following George Floyd's death. MPD hopes to add about 36 more officers by the end of the year. But a grassroots push to replace the Minneapolis Police Department continues. Yes for Minneapolis is a Black-led coalition of community organizations, and today they launched the Vote Yes for Minneapolis campaign. So they're collecting signatures at Moon Palace Books in support of replacing the city's police department. Organizers say their vision is a new Department of Public Safety that's centered around public health approaches to safety. They want the issue to be decided by voters.
This is really important because this is an opportunity for Minneapolis residents to be able to say that they are truly interested in more options around policing and public safety, and for us to implement this new Department of Safety. We're signing this petition and having this people's petition so that voters will be able to have it on the ballot in November.
The petition also calls on city officials to make long-term investments in the programs that organizers say keep residents safe.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, I don't even really know where to begin. First things first, the George Floyd riots tore apart Minneapolis, many other places, and not just from the property damage. That's bad enough. I mean, people having to go walk to the store like they will normally do and can't do that anymore. How are they going to get their food? How are they going to get their... You're talking about like elderly people, homeless people. It just was a terrible mess from the damage to the infrastructure of the city, not just the pipes and the power lines and all that kind of good stuff. I'm talking about the stores and the roads, and just the general safety has been lost. So aside from the property damage, it also kind of tore up the mentality of people. All right. You should want to have officers in your place to protect your city. You should want that. All right. But people tend to get caught up in this weird tribalism. They get caught up in believing things that aren't really true, and they lose sight of reality. And the reality is, once you push away the police, once you want to say defund the police and ACAB and all this, that, and the third, we're quote unquote over police, what you're going to get as a result of disrupting the natural order of things and the police security, you're going to have more crime. Every major city in which you had these Black Lives Matter so-called protests, really riots, crime has skyrocketed. Minneapolis especially, because that's where the epicenter of the 2020 Black Lives Matter resurgence was. Every category, you're talking about home invasion, carjacking, aggravated assault, sexual assault, everything went up because of the lack of police. Police aren't just there to call when things go wrong. They're also there to do proactive policing, what some may call broken windows policing or whatever the case may be. That does work. If you see something, say something. That kind of thing's going on. If I'm seeing some suspicious behavior out here in the alley, or I'm hearing somebody screaming or yelling, I'm hearing gunshots, you got to go investigate to see what's going on. But see, once you run away to police and say, you guys are not welcome here, every time they try to do something and try to respond to a call, there's a large mob of people. How are they going to be able to do their job? Morale is super low. You want to try to cut their budgets, cut their pay. Why do that anymore? Police officers don't get paid that much. They do okay, but it's not really that much. You got guys getting like 35,000, 40,000. It's not a whole lot of money. Guys are officers because they want to serve and protect the community. They really want to do a good thing for the community. But when you say, okay, you're not wanted here anymore, you're a bad person, you're a racist, you hate black people, we don't need you. Okay, you know what? I'll go ahead and just retire early. I'll quit. I'll go sell hot dogs or something else. I rather would not even do this. So they're 200 officers short because of that whole thing. Now they're having to replenish it. And the funny part is that before they realize they got to replenish those officers because the regular people that are suffering due to all the crime that a lack of police would cause, the city council, who originally was in favor of defunding the police and probably still is, talk about that in a minute, the city council had their own private security. All right. So while the regular normies out there ignorantly talking about defund the police and replace the police with something else, the city council have their own private security. So they could be out there with you talking about, yeah, ACAB, replace the police. All right, sir, in the big suit and the glasses with your gun up under your suit jacket, take me to my car and take me home and park outside and make sure don't nobody come get me. All right. That is what's going on. And that's not fair. Security shouldn't just be for the elites or those that have political connections and money. It should be for all of us. And that's what the police do. Are they perfect? No, nothing is perfect, but that's better than what is going on right now, which is just pure chaos. Now, some still, even after all of the evidence that we've seen the crime go up. We've seen the general lawlessness go up. The safety, the city is not what it used to be. Okay, it's not attractive anymore. And then on top of that, you got the virus restrictions. It's just not a good place to be. So aside from all of that stuff, they still don't want the police. They want to, quote unquote, replace the police with something else. Healthcare workers and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, let's just pause for the cause. So you're going to have this guy. He's 6'8", 300 pounds of muscle. I'm talking like Paul Bunyan, the brawny man from Paper Towels, like John Coffey, Green Mile. You're talking about a mountain of a man, right? That guy is high on PCP and he hates you and he wants to attack you. Matter of fact, you might come up there in your tweed jacket with your pocket protector and your clipboard. He might just hate you because of how you look. You might remind him of his mom and he got mommy issues and he wants to attack you. What are you going to do, social worker, public healthcare worker? See, there's a difference between reality and fantasy. You know, people that have never really been in a street kind of environment or a dangerous environment, they believe in fantasy as a way to try and prevent crime and a way to fight crime. All right. They think that you could just bring some public health, quote unquote, expert, a mental health expert out there and deal with the drugs of society. All right. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to be that way. When somebody's in the midst of having an episode and they're violent, they got a gun, they got a knife, you're not going to be able to really do anything. That's just not how it is. You got to have trained officers out there to deal with this man. Now, if that means they got to put him down, then it is what it is. But I'd rather them put a dangerous person down than a dangerous person killing an innocent person because they're dangerous. All right. And the police get called out there on these people. They get called for a reason because a law-abiding citizen cannot really deal with it. The mental health, quote unquote, expert cannot really deal with it. And then my question would be, did they inform the mental health experts that they'd be out there fighting Debo from Friday? I mean, did they inform them of that? Because I'm thinking they're going to be, you know, doing social work cases, going to check about kids, and they'll be in the office. Somebody will come lay on the couch and talk about their particular issues they got back from childhood, not dealing with a violent, dangerous, dynamic situation. You never know what somebody is going to do once you get there. They could have guns, they could have knives, it could be a bunch of guys in the cut you don't know about. And you're going to send women out there? Is that what you're going to do? Because a lot of these public health experts are women. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm not trying to send a young lady out there to deal with this crazy man that the police were called to deal with. You got to have actual law enforcement officers, period. That's just what it is. So anybody out there talking about, oh, we're going to have this mental health expert come out and sign a petition, you guys are not living in reality. Don't you see what's happening? With the lack of police, you're going to have less security. A mental health expert is not going to provide for more security. They can't do proactive policing. They're not going to be armed. They're not going to be able to protect anybody. The police are there for protection and prevention. All right. Law enforcement. When they're not there and where they need to be, you're going to have more crime, more violence as a result. That's just the bottom line. And you can't get around that at all. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think Minneapolis made a big mistake talking about defund the police and ACAB, all this, that, and the third? And when I say Minneapolis, I mean those that live there and those that are on the outside that have come in to make Minneapolis worse. If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or am I just wrong here? Should we replace Minneapolis Police Department with public health experts and social workers and, pocket protectors, no guns, no, nothing? I mean, hey, I'm still trying to figure out if you have violent, dangerous, I'm talking about human traffickers, drug smugglers, what are you really going to do with them? And you don't have the artillery to be able to combat them. I've seen some guys get into shootouts with the police over nothing. Not even like necessarily big criminals. But you got to understand there are people that are out there that exist who are very dangerous. And you got to deal with them in a way that makes sense. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight is basically what I'm saying. But I could be wrong about what I'm talking about. Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I stand. I say support the police. Do not defund the police. Refund the police. Okay? They got to go out there and get better equipment, more police, more security, better cars, rather than trying to take things from them. When you take things from them, when you take money from them, all you do is just make the general citizen, the average normie, less safe. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.